Well, hello there, humans, bees, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it to. I'm Bushka Blitz. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, today we're going to be talking about the T-34-1, the Chinese Tier 7 medium. It's the best thing to ever happen to the Chinese line. It's absolutely a fantastic vehicle. And I drove this on stream earlier this week, to the delight and joy of all, I'm sure. It was a stream where I did my favourite tanks at Tier 7. Not my favourite, that's wrong. Not my favourite at all. The tanks that I think are the best tech tree tanks for their class at Tier 7. And the 34-1 beat out a pretty hot field, including the Comet and a couple of other notables like the T-43 and such. And it does it despite having lower end DPM and not the best gun handling in the world and all these kind of things. And it does it because it's a real testament to, oh God, and by the way, I finally changed the auto-aim. You're going to see some brutal auto-aim RNG in the game after this that basically nearly drives me up the wall and has a huge bearing on the outcome of the match. And I changed it to the old style of auto-aim. But I've got to start talking about the tank again now. I really enjoy the live streams. And I enjoy doing these things because it allows me to play tanks and do it for a reason, give it some kind of essence. And this is a tank, although this game is not a massive, big damage game, it is a very good game for the tank itself. It indicates quite strongly where its joy, that lurver drove straight into that, where the joy of the tank lies. It's got a big alpha gun for a Tier 7 tank. So you're capable of playing peekaboo. And it's got the same playstyle you'd have with, say, an IS or an IS-6 or a big high-volume heavy like the IS-5 or the IS-3 Defender, peekaboo, the T-34, yet you're doing it on a very, very mobile tank in the T-34-1, which is a medium. Now, that 280 alpha is common that you get on the 100mm gun is common as muck at Tier 8, but it's not common as muck at Tier 7. Most of the Tier 7 tanks you're going to see have, for the most part, 160 alpha 75mm style guns. Some of them have 85mm guns, but you're the only one that really rocks a proper 100mm 280 alpha gun that can high roll and do proper heavy tank damage. It just showcases the playstyle of the tank, that it can do that while giving up, say, the Comet can do 270 alpha, 2,840 odd average DPM. So every minute it can pump out that much damage, and every minute you can pump out in this thing like, I don't know, 2,100 damage. This is the big difference there. And yet this thing oozes damage. It just absolutely oozes damage. You do so much damage in this tank because the tank was built to fire and not get fired upon. And it allows you to really leverage some massive results. And I'm going to show you a couple of games. One from me, one from another young human running around who sent in a replay quite some time ago that I've been hanging on to until I got a chance to play the T-34-1. Because I knew I was going to play the tank again. The tank is pretty special. And I called it when it came out that it was probably the best medium tank in the line, and I still stand by that. I think it is the best medium tank in the Chinese line. If you look at the profile of the tank, very, very low to the ground. Look at this auto aim. It drives me up the wall. It's very, very low to the ground, which means in the way Blitz works, you'll never find exact numbers for camo stats out there, but the way Blitz works is if you're a really low to the ground tank, you have really good camo. For instance, you might not realize this because it's such a massive tank, you wouldn't think that'd be the case. The T95 has incredible camo because it is very, very low to the ground and has a very good profile. It's also got about 8 seconds between shells, which is really close to the magic number of 9.8. And 9.8 is a magic number because that's the exact amount of time it takes with testing. I figured this out to reset your camouflage. So every 9.8 seconds, your camo drops after you fire the gun, as long as you meet the conditions of, say, being far enough away from the enemy that they lose sight of you. You will drop off the map. So for a tank that depends on delivering big damage in single shots and then hiding again, that's actually pretty convenient. It means you can fire the gun, pull back, wait for a reload, then wait 1.8 seconds basically after that reload, and then pop out and fire again. So your DPM might not be off the charts, but your effective ability to deliver your payload doesn't suffer a lot with being in a poor position to put damage out. You can see here I'm farming deluxe off the team. I came down low, they had mediums and lights, and they didn't get anywhere near the action. And it's I'm not doing the wrong thing here, because if you're constantly getting shots on and you're a medium tank, you're doing your job. You know, you're pumping out damage, and you'll see in the numbers at the end I was consistently putting damage out. I think we could have done possibly a little bit more here if the auto aim didn't completely screw me on a couple of those shots at the end. One other thing, your AP rounds do 175 millimeters of pen. Now that is a very good number. In fact, it's up towards the top echelon for medium tanks at tier 7. Your Comet kind of thing is about 148 or 145, I think, on your AP rounds. And that means that you don't have to go to Pramo very often at all. Now, a couple of these shots miss, but that's just RNG. I mean, these are the things that happen. And you're not going to hit every shot, and that would be a crime if you did anyway, because, you know, the game's got to have some nuance and randomness to it. Otherwise, everyone would know the results before they press the button. And that'd be no fun for anyone at all. Now, I'm going to stop talking about the tank so much and talk about the tactics of the tank. And you're going to see how I'm consistently setting it up to take single shots and then pulling back. And then I reset my camo behind this rock where no one can see me, except I see an opportunity to put a shot in there. And suddenly I've got 2 one-shots and a Tiger 1. And if everything goes my way, I might actually be able to clear a few tanks. There's still a KV-1S floating around somewhere. I'm looking to clear a tank here. There he is. There's the KV-2. We get him. There they are. There's the Kuro over there. The Tiger 1. A lot of one-shots. I figure I can get... And this is the first bounce that absolutely kills me coming up. I hate this new auto aim. It's really driving me nuts. There's the Tiger 1. Now, the armor profile on this tank is actually pretty good as well. It's not good enough to stand toe-to-toe with one of the best heavies in its tier and just bounce shots, but it's good enough to go hull down, because the turret is the strength of the tank. If you can get hull down in this tank, you can do an awful lot of damage. And here we go. We set up for a shot. All we need is one good shot here. There's the Kuro. Excellent. Put it back to 2 on 1. Still a tiny, tinsy, weeny little bit of chance. 37 hit points. But the Tiger 1 does the right thing and pushes around the corner. And then we have to go into the KV-1S, and there's no choice. He's just waiting for us. The turret is very, very strong. So you can sit up with that turret and bounce shots really effectively. So 4,256 damage there. A lot of it from the flanks. So only a second class, which, yeah, I mean, fair enough, but I don't think it was a bad game. It wasn't like a game where I intentionally hung at the back or anything. I pushed the middle once I realised the mediums weren't there, and then there was just a never-ending supply of shots. And it would be rude not to shoot tanks that were side onto you and begging for it in no uncertain terms. So here's a game from good amigo and friend of the channel, Tomcat0024. Tomcat, most on top, Tomcat. And he is doing exactly what I do in this tank on this map, which is push to this corner and go hull down. Now, the poor old T20 has better gun depression than this tank, but in terms of the big alpha medium that the T20 used to be, this thing just rips it to shreds. It's got a much better armor profile. It's got a better silhouette. It's just, I mean, 225 alpha versus 280 alpha. You saw the turret in action there, doing all kinds of nasty things to the T20's hopes and dreams. And there's that turret bouncing again. This time, I think it is the, it's not the KV-1S down there. It might have been the Jag Panzer IV. There we go. Duck another one into him. And because the tank is pretty special in design, the turret sits right on top, a lot like a T-43, but a lot lower, like squashed down in terms of profile. The tank sits right on top of those front drive wheels. So there's a very, very steep upper glacis. And while it's not the bounciest upper glacis in the world, what it means is you don't have that drive wheel extending out when you try and use these very, very low bits of mound and these swales and berms. It allows you to push around slightly without exposing a whole heap of tank on the side and get some shots in. And that's pretty important when you just want to use your turret as the prime mover in your armor profile, and you don't actually want to have anyone shooting your upper glacis and the side of your drive wheels. And you can see here Tomcat is doing good things. He had to take a shot there, but it's the 100mm on the KV-1S, and I like what he does. He doesn't muck around too much. He leaves that KV behind, gets a lucky bounce. So that is a lucky bounce, but you make your own luck in this game, and then rolls, just absolutely rolls around. Now, he doesn't have a lot of gun depression over the back deck, and he's got to bail out and leave that TD there. Doesn't have any choice there. The AT's there as well, so there's a couple of tanks there in the one spot, and then he can guard this side. And if they do get pushed on, he can at least make sure that, you know, they pay for it with their lives. This doesn't look good, though, because that KV-1S doesn't really care about the AT-8. 300 is a nice high roll, though. That's 20 over the average alpha for Tomcat. The KV-3 is a 120mm gun, so he can do 400 alpha, which means Tomcat is a deluxe one-shot. That's all there is to it. The AT is still alive. Like, that dude must be made of stellinium. He is, I mean, he's British, but surely they imported some of the finest metals Russia can manufacture, because he has been alive for a long, long, long time. And his last stand, his Rorke's Drift, it really does change the playing field. It allows Tomcat to get a couple of extra shots in, clear a tank, and roll back around here, all while he maintains and stops those three guns from focusing on Tomcat at once. Now, this is that low profile I was talking about before. He's going to let him get quite close before he takes a shot. 170 meters before he lit off, and he wasn't lit up then. He'd probably be able to get out to 150 before Tomcat would light up, and that's that lovely low profile. And you can see he's reloaded, which means he's reset his camo. There's 160 away and gets it again. And because he's so low to the ground, he's able to quite comfortably hide down there as well. He's got 3 tanks to clear. The KV-3 had to trade damage for distance, which isn't good at all when there's no guarantee Tomcat was going to have to stop. So he's just leaving the KV-3 alone now. And those 2 shots the KV-3 took were pretty pointless, in fact. They were pushing up into the medium when there was no real need for it. And he's got 2 blokes with him who don't have a lot of hit points. So that was a tough sticker for the KV-3 to swallow. He probably thought his armor profile was enough that he could push up there without getting really smashed, and even if he did get spotted, he'd be able to put another one on. There you go. Clears the 3485. Bit aggressive there, but then pulls back. I was pretty happy with that. If he had pushed out, would have been visible. He's unspotted now. You can see spots the KV-3 up again. Still unspotted. Really, really quite interesting that camouflage is something deluxe for a medium tank anyway. It's not as good as a light tank's camo. Obviously, the light tank gets the on-the-move camo bonus as well. But for a medium, it's pretty special. It's left to clear, and Tomcat, you'd have to say, has made this last 280 hit points bloody spectacular. He's got a lot out of it. Mirror low gets wrecked. There is the KV3. The KV3 is in cap. I mean, we know the KV3 is in cap. And that's really playing into the hands of this super quick little medium tank. Busting around here at 50 kilometers an hour. He's going to be able to push out without exposing a lot of his drive wheel. That's the joy I was talking about before. And gets the win. 5 kills and absolutely deserves it. Played the front line there for a long time. With the main tank going in. 5,000 damage. Kolomanovsky and the Radley Walters. Good on you, mate. 5 kills, 1,492 XP. Excellent work, Tomcat. That's the T-34-1, a really special tank. I just wanted to reiterate that because you have to get a hold of this thing. If you just stop in the Chinese medium line at the T-34-1, you won't be disappointed. It's worth grinding to Tier 7 every day of the week. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all those who've just recently joined my Patreon channel. And stick around and enjoy the live streams and hilarity as we journey onwards into tanking justice. Bye for now.